Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow. In today's episode, I'm going to go into the concept of a new form of media that we can now fan sub, and some of the potentials of this new sort of technology, all because of things like AI and advancements in technology now allows us to do this kind of thing. So, before I get into it, I want to remind people to go down below and click like and click subscribe. And again, anything that you do, in terms of comments, even just putting a like on this video, really helps the YouTube algorithm show it to other people. I just want to sort of make this very important that this is a new sort of field that we can all get into, a new resource that people should know about, and hopefully that the community will be able to go on with this and basically be able to get more content that we never had access really to. I should say we always had access to it, but we never could embrace it because we never understood what the heck was going on, right? But now we have enough technology that we can actually start uncovering this new technology. Okay, so again, try to get the message out there, and hopefully YouTube will help spread this message out there, and we can get new content available. All right, and again, those people who are supporting me financially on the PayPal or the Patreon, I thank you very much. I just posted a new episode on the Patreon about again my topics. So someone asked me a question: what was some of my favorite mangas? And I thought about it for a while, and there are a few of them, and I didn't want to mention some more common ones, but some of them are real, of course, in the range of things that I can't show here on YouTube. So again, I had to put them onto the Patreon. So again, I'll put the links up for those who are memberships there. So again, do check that out. All right, so today's episode is, again, we're talking about some new concepts of actually doing some fan subbing. So again, back in the day, I did a lot of fan subbing using video, of course, and we went on to got the video cassettes and that kind of stuff. We applied subtitles using the Genlock to put subtitles on the screen for anime so that we can watch it, right? But now, of course, with digital fan subbing and that kind of stuff, we've managed to get ahead of that, and now distribution and all that stuff. We need video cassettes anymore. We can now stream all the anime videos and that kind of stuff from there. Okay, so what other frontiers was available? Well, the whole entire concept of audio CDs and audio dramas. Okay, so here I've got. Just when I was basically doing some work with, making my last couple of videos where it was making music videos and making songs for them. I was thinking, well, it's great that I'm making these songs and making videos for them, but what else could I use this for? And I realized, I've got all these audio CDs. Okay, now so the concept was basically, and I sort of mentioned it before. Here I've got a CD for Heaven Wars Shurato. Okay, we did the fan subbing for this one. Really a popular series in a lot of places around the world, especially in like Mexico, Brazil, and a lot of Southeast Asia, because again it focuses on the Vishnu. And that kind of stuff, right? So again, it came out at the same time as Saint Seiya, guys in armor, samurai troopers, that kind of stuff, came out. Anyway, so what these guys did, which is kind of unique, is before the doujinshis could make fun of their anime, they decided to make fun of themselves when the voice actors and all that kind of stuff were still there. So basically, with the original cast of Shurato, they decided to make a whole bunch of joke episodes, and since the voice actors were all there, they voice acted all their joke parts, right? So in this particular CD, okay, they did one called called Hachibu the World. They made a couple of them, right? Soul Lovers Only and the things like that. But anyway, this one here has 3 funny episode bits that they made fun of. The 2, I did one already, which is this one in the corner here called Renge 1/3. So one of the female characters is her voice actor is Megumi Hashiburara. She does the voice for Ranma in Ranma and a Half. Anyway, in this anime, she does 3 voices: Renge, Shirato's sister Mi and and Yumi, sorry, and the little dragon called Mi, which is a Lakshu's little sidekick. Anyway, so they made a little joke where every time you splash water on them, she changes into the other one. So make it, so the story becomes Renge 1/3 instead of Ranma 1/2, right? Anyway, so while they had the voice actor still there, they decided to make this joke dub with this on there. So the current one I'm working on is the one in this corner right here. It's called Shakli's Armor. Okay, so again, in this concept is that, okay, like, let's say, for example, like, Saint Seiya, for example, right? All the guys, the main guys in the story, all have armor, just like in this series here. Shirato guy and all the other 8 guys of the Hachibu, including Renge, right? All have armor, okay, Shakli, right? Except one character, Lakshu, okay? She doesn't have an armor. So this is an entire episode about, okay, she wants to be someone else other than the bimbo wandering around. So, she wants to basically learn how to be a cool warrior and get one of these armors so that she can fight for her loved one and all the romantic kind of stuff like that, right? So, anyway, so this is a really funny story I'm working on right now, and this prompted me to think, okay, well, this whole concept of before, when we had anime that we didn't understand, we just kind of watched it and we just kind of, using the visuals and that kind of stuff, we could kind of sort of figure out what's kind of going on. With audio CDs, okay, we don't really have that. It's just, a radio play or, kind of thing where, the sound effects are there. We kind of have to imagine what's going on. And then again, we don't understand the language, so it becomes very, very difficult to figure out. But now, with all the advent of AI and being able to do Google Translate, we can transcribe stuff. So now that everything comes out in subtitled form, we can now basically subtitle the radio plays, right? So now we now have translation, line for line translations for these radio dramas, which again are original voices, original story concepts, and things that we've never seen in the anime. And the extra thing that the cravat that, of course, now that I've realized is that we now can also do rendering of the animes in using the AI in these things. So, for example, the episode I'm working on right now is again, Lakshu's armor, right? Well, since Lakshu never had an armor in the anime, there was never a graphical representation of her in such, armor. But now, of course, with AI, I can tell the system to say, "Hey, I want you to take this character Lakshu, and I want you to render her in this armor that, again." Okay, without getting too graphical, okay, and pushing the YouTube, restrictions. Okay, we'll just say it that way, quote quote. I won't get into that until we actually get into the episode. Okay, so again, when I finish this one, I will post up the whole episode that you can watch by yourself separately again. But so these concepts of others are happening. Also, other things like, for example, there's a scene in there where basically Hyuga and Yoma are basically training, right, and they're doing Hindu squats. Okay, as part of their training, Hindu squats and push-ups, right? And again, in the anime, they never animated either of those two guys doing any sorts of that kind of training. Whether it be push-ups, be it Hindu squats, be it any sort of sparring or anything like that. They never did any of that in the series. But with the advent of AI, you can render some pictures and render some maybe some graphics of them doing that. Okay, so again, this adds a little bit of adds to your visual kind of accurement of the actual radio drama going on. So I think this is one of these new things that we're going to get into, where we can actually get more stories, because again, Toronto's been finished, right? And again, a lot of people who really enjoyed the series, have seen all the episodes that they can see, and and enjoy the story as it was, right? But now, all of a sudden, there's this sort of quote hidden vault, if you will, of content that can now be brought out and translated and be basically understood, and it allows people to bring back their memories of whatever of Toronto they had, and now enjoy some new content. And this is not just, again, not just for like a show like Toronto, right? I have a whole stack of CDs here. So for example, for like people who are into video games, right? I have like drama CDs for like Street Fighter and like Fatal Fury, or Gaoden sets, right? And again, sure, we had the OVAs, we had the movie, right? But that was it. Like, there was nothing more. Like, so obviously there was more stories. The King of Fighters had some stuff out of Hong Kong and that kind of stuff and whatnot. So they also made these. Like I said, the CD Bunko here made a whole bunch of Fatal Fury CD dramas again. So they got some voice actors and that kind of stuff, and and actually professionally made a radio drama of this thing. Now we have the ability to translate this and get some more stories for Fatal Fury, which would be great, because as I said, we seen the OEVs and we thought they were pretty good and everything. But where's more, right? And same thing with this one, right? This is the Street Fighter radio drama, right? This is again, I bought this because again, the artwork looked really nice. Satoshi Ushihara, Plastic Little, Line Greaser, War Song, all that. He drew the artwork for this, so and it's really beautiful picture of Chun-Li here, and whatnot. But again, this CD is actually a radio drama. So again, other than watching Street Fighter the movie, okay. And I'm not going to count Street Fighter 2V because that's a younger version of these characters anyway, right? So, but the actual, I said, like the Yu, the Chun-Li, Ken, Guile, Dalsim, and all their stuff that we were familiar with when we were playing Street Fighter 2. Okay, there's a whole anime radio play that they made for that, and again, no one really knows about it. No one's translated it. But if we could get, now with AI, we can actually, get this translated. We can get some images and that kind of stuff. And if there's anything that needs to be animated or whatever, we might be able to do some of that and visualization of with anime. So again, this is something to look forward to in the future. Again, if you're interested in some of this kind of stuff, or if you know some stuff that you would just love to see, put your comments below. Show me some links or something or whatever, and then maybe we, get this spread out and hopefully get more of this stuff translated. Okay. Another very favorite series, and again, I talk about this a lot because back in the day, right, you couldn't figure out what the hell these CDs were, right? So when I see the CD, it's like, right on, hey, it's a Street Fighter CD, okay? And so we're gonna go, so I'll order it in. I don't know what's on this thing. I don't know that there's, any music for that matter that's on this thing. Maybe should opening theme song and things, or some of their sort of image songs. Sure, maybe they'll list the credit for that. But other than that, I don't know that the rest of the CD is all radio drama, right? And they're going, again, back at the time, you spend $30 US to buy this, and it's all like talking, and it's like, oh my God, what the hell did I buy, right? But now, hey, some 30 years later, all of a sudden we have the technology to translate this now, to get this content available. So whatever that was on this now is now unlockable and is able to, basically be enjoyed by us. Okay. And so there's other stuff here. Okay, this is an entire CD set for a series called Gaiga Gear. Okay. Now, New Type magazine really, really pushed this to be the next thing for Gundam. Okay, so after Zeta Gundam ended / Double Zeta Gundam, there's this whole sort of lineage of Gundam that came out, and so they built an entire series of Gundam episodes, right? Essentially based on this series or this mech called Gaiga Gear, right? Clone of Char Aznable and what theoretically, could be, essentially Noah Hathaway's story, right? Commander Hathaway's, son, right? continuing on with the story. So this theoretically should have been that story, but again, they ended up not using it. Okay, and they went on and did some other thing. Okay, but be it unicorn or crossbone or whatever, right? Anyway, but yes, this is one of the things that was technically in the world of Gundam. Okay, and so again, whole radio drama and that kind of stuff was made for this. In this particular one that has the X thing, this actually has the first CD has a whole booklet. Okay, which comes out with all the there's all the freaking dialogue. In case you don't want to listen to it, you can actually read all the dialogue. Okay, on this right here. Okay, filled with additional characters and all that kind of information and whatnot on here, right? So they really tried to build this out as the next Gundam. Okay, but again, never ended up happening. And I know that there are a couple of maybe some translations of the dialogue or the text in textual forms if you want to read it and whatnot. But now finally, we could actually theoretically now translate all this dialogue and all that stuff and get it into a subtitled form. But not only that, even possibly animate this in some way. Like, because visually it should be a Gundam. We should theoretically have, the backgrounds and the mechs and that kind of stuff all done up. We could actually probably do something with that. So again, like I said, this is like a huge 5 CD set of Geiger gear. The hidden, unknown world, or the lost world of Gundam, that comes out here. So they, also, in theory, UC Century Gundam that belongs after Zeta Gundam, but again, never was animated or capitalized. It's actually literally forgotten. But other things that also happened, like here, this is another one. Ariel, was also done this way. So again, you remember Ariel as like a small OVA series, right? The scientist that basically designed a defense robot in the likeness of his past wife, and he gets his 3 granddaughters to pilot the thing. Okay, so kind of signs of a little bit of side of this, a little bit of a nurse Nanako, like for example. Nanako here. That's essentially that kind of a story, right? So, but yeah, so they made an audio CD drama. So again, for those people who like that kind of theory and would like to see, or in theory, like to hear more of what that story was about, maybe some other side stories. Here's something that has that, right? Now again, we could with this new technology, we should be able to unlock it and get that out there. So again, something like that. What else we got here? I also got this one. Okay, this is the CD for Shadow Skill. Okay, the anime, right? Again, we have a TV series of that. We have an OVA series for that. But yeah, again, so this is kind of based off of the manga and more stories of that. Again, also done in an audio CD format with actual voice actors. Okay. From that. I think they used the voice actors from the OVA series on this one, okay? But yeah, so they grabbed it and made some radio dramas on it. Again, for those people who are really a fan of Shadow Skill, you'd probably like to hear what this was like. I don't know if it's going to be, like I said, them making gags and inside jokes and making sub episodes like that. For example, like the Shirado CD, or is it actually going to be like side episodes and more other stuff, that goes on. So who knows? I really don't know, but it'd be great to find out. I know, for example, the City Hunter, or sorry, the Street Fighter and the Fatal Fury here. I know these are actual stories in the same storyline as the Street Fighter. So again, some more stories about what Chun-Li as an agent and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. And this is again more stories of Yo and and Joe. And all those guys, just getting in trouble, Andy, Terry, and all that kind of stuff, all getting messed up by the mafia guys in there. Anyway, and of course, another one I have an example for is this one here. This is Silent Mobius. Okay, again, they also made a whole bunch of different manga. Like, okay, they had some different things done in addition to the movie and the two movies, and they had a TV series which gets to happen as well. But those TV series were like further in the future, like as when Katsumi has already like joined the force and whatnot. Whereas a lot of the there's some ones for the manga which deals with a lot of other characters and that kind of stuff. Sort of before, and then there's one that they made, like these ones here, that they made a little bit afterwards. But again, it's more stories within that timeline of, as I said, of Silent Mobius. And so those people who followed Silent Mobius and would like to, know more about the story or get something that they didn't know about it. Like as I said, they've already watched the movies, the OVAs, the TV series. They collected all the manga. What else is there? And all of a sudden you come up and say, hey, they made this radio drama of Silent Mobius. All of a sudden you go like, wait a minute, there's more? Like, is something else happen? Is it like another alternate universe thing? Maybe another story that they didn't cover? Well, all of a sudden now your interest is piqued. And so, again, this is just a small example of some of the library that is available that now can be unlocked, as it were, right? And we now can, once this stuff was totally inaccessible. I mean, you had to get some fanatical freak to go through and listen to these CDs that knows anything about Silent Mobius or Fatal Fury or Street Fighter or whatever, and actually translate it and type it into the computer, and then then you can post it as kind of like, here, you can just read this, and this is the story of Street Fighter or whatever. But of course, that would seem kind of boring because sure, you're basically only just writing all the dialogue down, but you're not filling in the story in behind, right? So you have to kind of, because it's a radio drama, right? So you're supposed to kind of use the sound effects and that kind of stuff to help you put you into that sort of groove, but you can't. But you lost that when you're just reading it on a computer screen or on a piece of paper, right? So this is now all of a sudden a way to get all those elements back together and maybe even add that visualization back into this, content. So now that you got your video, you got your audio, and you got now the translation for the dialogue, right? So finally, all the trifecta has been put back together again. And again, this is I think, a new sort of field of anime interest that can come available. Again, sure, the modern fan, they've got enough anime out there, and they can do their own sort of thing and whatnot. But for us classical fans, okay, who have had different types of anime and that kind of stuff. And we've all had our favorites and that kind of stuff, and we watched things that we thought were really cool. All of a sudden, there's this sort of hidden bank of, possibly new content of our favorites that we never knew about, or maybe we did know about. We just never had access to it, or we never had enough, effort to actually go and do this stuff. But all of a sudden, hey, this stuff actually now is available to us. Hey, I can possibly actually now enjoy this stuff. And so this is just sort of an episode just telling you that this sort of new sort of frontier is now within our grasp, and hopefully not only just myself but other people will be able to get into this, and hopefully more new content like this will become available. All right, so stay tuned and you will get more of this. So again, probably the next day or so, I will have this one available, and I'll post it up on it so that you can listen to it. It's called, again, Lakshu's Shakli, okay? And again, it's pretty funny, actually. Now that, I knew it was kind of funny, the end of it, where Lakshu gets into the, okay, I'm not going to give it all the way, but Lakshu gets a little bit, a little bit funny, and basically it just shows how quirky all the different characters in Shirado can be, right? I'll just put it that way, without giving the story away, and without telling too much about the etch content, okay, that's in this. So again, do make sure that you are like and make sure you are subscribed, and I'll get that episode posted probably in the next day or so once I finish, because I said I'm on the last little part where Lakshu is getting the training from Akaranata. All right, so and some lessons on S&M from Tori. Okay, anyway, so yes, you can check that out when that comes out. Right, so until next time, I will see you again.